What's up, guys? Welcome to the DoItMovement podcast. This is your host, Martine Jackson, and I've built my 6-figure, soon-to-be 7-figure, massive real estate business through commercial investing, rental investing, and wholesaling in Virginia. After college, I worked a series of jobs that I absolutely hated and decided to take life into my own hands. What my journey has shown me is one very important thing. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Each week, I bring you a powerful guest or tip to unravel the real estate game, and my challenge to you is that you take some of that knowledge and do something with it. The Do It Movement is here to help you create the life you desire through real estate. Now let's get to it. What's up today, Do It Movement listeners? This is your host, Martine Jackson. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Today, I want to have a teaching episode where it's just going to be me on here, and we're going to talk about how to get your first rental without any credit or bad credit and no money out of your pocket. Because a lot of people that are in real estate, you start with wholesaling because you feel like that's your only option. You feel you don't have any money, so I must have to wholesale contracts. And where there is nothing wrong with wholesaling. Wholesaling has put a lot of people on. I mean, it's helped me a lot in my career, just to be honest. It helped me get started. But you don't have to wholesale if you don't want. If you want to own rentals, you don't have to wait to own rentals. You can do them now. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about is the best way to get into a situation like this that has the least amount of risk. Also, no credit checks. If your credit's bad or you don't have any credit, it's something you won't have to worry about in doing this. And then also, if you don't have any money, don't worry. We're going to go into an in-depth example of a property I did like this that you can also mimic with a house that you're interested in. So let's dive into it. What I want to talk about is the concept called a lease with the option to buy. Now, with a lease with the option to buy, also known as a lease option, you can lease a property for a certain amount of time, and then you have the option to buy it. And typically, the upfront money that you put down, which is called your option fee, is the money that you put down so you can have the option later to buy. And you don't have to exercise your option, meaning you don't have to buy the house if you don't want to. But it does put you in a position where you can buy the house. Now, if you're doing a lease option with someone that you want to buy a house from, of course, you are not going to be the seller. You're going to be the person that is the optionee, as they call it. But you're pretty much, in the terms of when you exercise the option, you're the buyer. So what we're going to talk about is how you can sandwich lease options to create cash flow. And by creating this cash flow, you get a taste of what it's like having rental property that you actually own. But this way, I'm suggesting this way because it is the least amount of risk. If you mess up, it's okay. You move on. That's it. Okay, so basically, I'm going to give you an example of a house that I did. And I give you this example so you can make it tangible so that you can understand how this works. So I had a property where, and I'll start over with how it went in the house for one. One thing that I used to always do is I would go into houses and I would recite a script that I got from Todd Toback. So shout out to Todd Toback if you're watching this. So Todd Toback, he had a podcast. I don't know if he still has it or not. But he had a podcast. It was called No Limits Podcast. I love the podcast. It was like, you can't put any limits on your life. The only limits are the ones that you place on yourself. So in this podcast, he talks about what to say in the house. And one of the things that he talked about that you could say in the house was, would you like, the cash offer? Or would you take payments for the house? You wouldn't have to worry about any of the maintenance. You get a guaranteed check every month, stuff like that. And if you want to refer to the episode I'm talking about, it's the No Limits Podcast, episode 10. So go check it out. I think it's still out, but I'm not for certain. Anyway, usually when I went in the house and said that, everyone picked the cash offer. Like everyone, unanimously, everyone picked it. So when I got someone that said, oh, I'll take the payments, I was like, what? Who takes the payments? Like, people don't take that. But this guy, he was a landlord before. He knew what it was like to get payments on his house. He knew that he was going to get a tax hit by getting all the money right now. So what he did is he was all for getting a guaranteed check every month. And then having then selling it later, having an option. So the way I structured this deal was that this house, if I would have just gave him a cash offer, I probably would have gave him a cash offer for about $20,000, to be honest, because I wanted to make it profitable for myself. But since he wanted the payments, what I did was I made sure that what I was paying was less than what the rent was in the area. And for him, it made sense for him because he didn't have to worry about someone calling him to say, fix the toilet. I told him I'd take care of it. He didn't have to worry about, it was just kind of mindless for him. And I had built really good rapport with this guy, and he trusted me. And that means a lot to me. So, if you're going out on these appointments and people trust you to execute on what you say you're going to do, whatever you got to do, make it happen. Like, if it came down, and I've heard other people say this before too, if it came down to you paying your own bills or paying this bill, you need to pay this bill. And if you don't feel that way, then you don't need to do this strategy, just to be honest, because your name is everything. Your reputation is everything. You don't want to go around as the person that says they're going to do things and they don't do those things. So the way I structured this deal was this guy wanted $40,000 for this property. I was only willing to give him a cash offer of $20,000. So to make it work, $40,000 was, to be honest, at the time, it was market value for the house. So I was like, I don't know, man. But he said he wanted to take those payments. I knew that this house in particular would rent for $550. I just knew that was the going rate for the rent in the area. So I knew without a shadow of a doubt, I could at least get $550, but I wanted to push the limits for myself, to be honest. So I agreed with this guy to give him a $400 payment each month. He wouldn't have to worry about any of the maintenance issues with the property. If anything broke, we fix it. If, we set a specified time, say that, hey, I'm going to pay you by the 5th of each month. And we set it that 3 years down the road that I'd buy the house from him. Well, I had the option to buy the house. I didn't have to, but I had the option to buy the house for $40,000. And for me to set this into play, my option fee was $500. And please check your state laws, because I think in some states you can't even do lease options, or you have to call them something else, maybe land contracts or whatever. Check your state laws, but in Virginia, you can still do lease with the option to buy. So basically, I paid $500 for the option to purchase this house 3 years down the line. I agreed to pay this man $400 a month and then I would buy his house for $40,000. Now, you can agree to do whatever you want. You can say that if you're leasing the house, nothing goes towards the the principal, or a portion goes towards the principal. I'm an advocate for something going towards the principal. Like, if I'm going to pay you this lease, I want to make sure my money isn't being wasted. I would like something to go towards the house. So me purchasing the house. So I think we agreed that 25% of my payment would go towards the house. So that was helpful. When I was ready to purchase it, I didn't have to pay $40,000 out of pocket. Okay, so at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that, or this episode, I mentioned that I didn't, like, I said no money out of my pocket. And I said $500 to put down. So you're probably thinking, you're listening, and you're thinking, Martine, you're a liar. You said no money. And you're telling me that you paid him $500 for an option. But this is why it's called a sandwich lease option. Because what you're going to do is you're going to extend the same opportunity to someone else, but you're going to raise how much you are offering it for. So what I did in turn was I did a lease with the option to buy with someone that wanted to buy a house, but they just weren't qualified for a loan right now. So what I did was, to find someone like this, I just placed bandit signs. I found that bandit signs, although if you're excessive with them, the police may call you, just to give you a fair warning, because they'll probably tell you to come pick these up because it's excessive. But so do it at your own risk. But what I found is that bandit signs work very well for people that are looking to rent a place or looking to buy a place. So what I said was rent to own. I told them how much they needed to put down, and I told them to give me a call if they were interested. So what I did in turn in my sandwich lease option is I offered this property to someone else for $5,000 down. They were going to pay $700 a month, and then they were paying me $60,000 for the property. So how I structured it is that the $5,000 went towards their option fee. So they gave me $5,000, and the guy that his name was actually on the title of the house, I paid him $500 because that's what he wanted as an option fee. So from the beginning, I'm making $4,500 at the down payment time of the person. Well, not the down payment, the option fee. I want to make sure I have these words correct in this video. But at the option fee, I paid the guy $500, and he paid me, the guy that was going to move in, he paid me $5,000. So off the option fee, I made $4,500. Okay? So each month I offered, remember, my original agreement was that I would have the lease with the option for 3 years. So I have the option to buy within 3 years. So what I found is that you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. If you have a lease with the option with a seller that you don't want to make the person that's moving in to have the same amount of time for their option as you have. So if I have an option for 3 years, I'm going to give the option to someone else to buy it. Their option is only 18 months. So they get a year and a half. And by doing that, if they decide to not exercise their option, you can find someone else within the same time period. If I'm doing half of the 3 years and I'm only giving, I'm giving these people a year and a half to purchase the property from me, then I have another year and a half if this person fails to exercise their option. My goal is for everyone to exercise their option, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't like to take any of these properties back, but I mean, if you're not paying, then what are you left to do? So basically, I gave the person 18 months to execute on the contract. I also gave them that same 25% going towards the equity of purchasing the house. Do you have to do that? No, you don't have to do that. You can just allow people to pay. But I just like to be fair. I want to give people an opportunity. I mean, I know a lot of people want to purchase a house and they don't have the opportunity to do so. So I'm here to be a servant to them, to help them to reach that goal. I don't want to be someone that's in the way of them getting that goal. So if I can help them reach that goal then and still be profitable, then we're game. So like I said, my guy, he was paying $700 a month, and I in turn would pay the owner $400 a month. Every month I'd pay the owner $400. So that would give me a $300 spread each month. And I mean, to be honest, you can negotiate these deals to have your entire payment go towards the premium. So I mean the purchase price of the house. So if I wanted to, I could have negotiated that for the entire $400 went to the house. And I think I tried to negotiate for the entire $400 to go towards the purchase price of the house, but the owner just didn't want that because he's paying interest on the money because he had a mortgage. So that's another good point to bring up as well. A lot of people that they may be interested in taking payments, they may not be able to do seller financing unless they want to wrap their loan, which that's kind of a strategy for someone that is like really heavy into the investing. If they're not really heavy into the investing, they probably don't even know what wrapping a loan is. But it makes it possible for you to still get payments for your house because you still have ownership of your house and have a mortgage on it. So basically what we were doing, we were taking care of his mortgage. He didn't have to, I think his mortgage might have been a little bit lower, but he didn't have to worry about his mortgage being paid because he knew the check was going to come. And in turn, what I did is I set the expectation for the person that was moving in that it was their responsibility to fix anything wrong with the house. If anything breaks, it was their responsibility to do so. Now, being that it's a lease with only an option to buy, could that be fought in court? Maybe. But most of the people, when you tell them that, hey, I'm giving you the opportunity of home ownership, a lot of people, they kind of lost hope on home ownership because they don't think they can qualify for a loan. So in the meantime of you leasing this place out to this person, you set them up with someone that's going to set them up for success. You set them up with a loan officer that's going to tell them exactly the steps they need to take so they can qualify for the mortgage. So when the 18 months is up, they can purchase the property from you. So anyway, so this guy's paying $700. I'm paying this other guy $400. And basically what we did is when the person was ready to exercise their option to purchase the property is when I was ready to exercise my my option as well. So I just collected a fee when I bought it from the guy for $40,000 minus whatever went to the purchase price, and then $60,000 minus whatever went to the purchase price on the other guy's end. And fortunately for this one, and I know you hear a lot of people, they give you stories about lease options. A lot of times you get the houses back, which I mean, that could possibly be true. Fortunately, this guy did purchase the property from me, and it worked out really well. But I think what's important to note is that you need to set people up for success. When someone is moving into one of your properties, they want to purchase the property, make sure you're doing a background check, you're doing a credit check on these people, see what is on their credit. And as you're in this industry for a while, you kind of know what you need to get a loan. And even if you don't know what you need to get a loan, then you could get someone, you can get someone else that's more experienced in that area, such as a loan officer. You can say, hey, if you're interested in this property, it is my goal that you exercise your option to purchase this property. So would it be okay if I shared your information with a loan officer because I know that you're eventually going to need to get a loan for this property. And most people are going to say yes. You might want to get it in writing, but most people are going to say yes because they really do want to buy the property, especially if you're going to put $5,000 down. You don't want to lose your option to purchase the house. If this guy would not have executed in 18 months, he would have lost his chance to buy the property. So that's why I think it is essential for us to try to set people up for success. Now, if you listen to this story, you can see that I never owned the home. I was never the home owner. I was just the person in the middle that got an opportunity from someone to have a lease with the option to buy. And I gave that opportunity to someone else that actually wanted to live in the place because I knew how to structure the deal. So this is something that you can use in your current strategies. Like if you want to have some passive income coming in, because essentially I wasn't doing anything to fix this property. I would just go collect the check every month and I would pay the owner. That's all I did. I was a middle person in this transaction, but it gave me a taste of what it felt like to have passive income. I didn't use any of my own credit. I didn't use any of my own money. I used my brain to structure a deal that was a win-win, a win-win-win for all three parties. This guy that owns this house now, $60,000 was about, when I say market for me, I'm always looking to pay a little bit less, just to be frank. If it were on the open market with a realtor and things of that nature, the property probably would have sold for 60, to be honest. 60, maybe 55. So the guy maybe paid a little premium on this property to own it, but it's in a neighborhood that is growing. In 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the price of that property will have skyrocketed. It will probably be over $100,000 because of where it is. He just thought smart because at the time, and kind of now currently, it's still kind of the hood, just to be honest. But that area is changing, and this man capitalized off of that. Just as I saw it. I saw it as an opportunity, and I found someone that was interested in that opportunity. And in this example, it was successful. So, of course, consult with your attorneys. Check your state laws when looking into lease options. I want to say, I know I brought Todd Toe back up once before, but he talks about lease options a lot, about how you can make the most out of deals by doing lease options instead of just wholesaling them. It's some other people on the internet that they talk about lease options as well. But in my opinion, it is one of the lower risk things that you can do so that you can benefit from having passive income without all the risk. And basically, let's say you got to a point where you couldn't pay the $400. Like, let's not, the goal is to not get there, to be honest, because if you go into something like this, you want your word to be bond. You don't want your name to be tarnished. Your reputation is everything, just to be honest. And if you tell someone that you're going to pay them $400 a month for their property, you better believe you better pay that $400 a month, even if it means you got to skip one of your bills to pay it. But in our agreement, we had it set up so that if I did miss a payment, there was no, like, let's say the guy that moved in, he didn't pay me. Our agreement just pretty much said that it will just revert back to the owner. He keeps the option fee, and we just move on with our lives. Like, it was no legal action that he could take. We put that in the contract. So that's what I mean, where you can just wipe your hands and go free. But basically, you don't want to be in a position where you're not paying people, because that's going to ruin your reputation, especially if you're doing it a lot. Like, you just need to be very honest with folks and do what you say that you're going to do. So whatever it takes, you got to sell the TV, do it so you can pay this person off. But anyway, that's pretty much the strategy. My recommendation, based off of my experience, is if you're going to do a lease with the option to buy, you ought to do them separately. You should not do them together. You should have a lease with an option, just in case you have to take any legal action, especially in the state of Virginia, which is a tenant-friendly state. It'll be less difficult for you if we aren't showing any equitable interest into the court cases. So if you have a lease that is separate from an option, it just makes your case a little bit better. And again, I'm not an attorney. I'm just telling you about my experiences. It seems like it would be in your best interest to have a lease and an option to buy separately. I hope this video or this episode has been valuable for you, because if you take this concept and you run with it, you get people into these properties, and make sure you get qualified people, because you don't want a lot of people living in your properties not paying you. You want people that you know they're going to pay you. You want to, make sure that you can honor all the commitments that you have. You want to scale smartly. You don't want to go too big too fast, where you can't, if things go south, you're not able to live up to what you said you were going to do. So just keep these things in mind. But as a whole, when it comes to having passive income and leasing out spaces, because you're not technically the owner, but in your contract, it says that you have the option, you can sublease it. So it says that, you can sublease this, and because you're able to sublease this, you're able to lease it out to someone else so that they can pay your bill, so to speak, and you can cash flow off of each month. But it was this that gave me a taste of what it felt like to have passive income that I did work for months ago, and I was still getting paid for it. And that's the name of the game. Most of us, we got into real estate because we wanted freedom, and a lot of people are just trading jobs. And if that's what you want to do, go for it. But me personally, I got into this for freedom. So you getting mailbox money, as they call it, is a way for you to get that freedom. I hope this episode was valuable to everybody watching today. If you have any questions, put it in the comments box down below. But until next time, Do It Movement listeners, see ya! Thanks, guys, for checking out the Do It Movement podcast this week. I hope we inspired you to make some power moves now. If you haven't already, make sure you follow us for more info on our guests and new episodes at DoItMovement Pod on Instagram and at DoItMovementPod.com. Make sure as you apply some of this knowledge, you tag us along the way by adding #DoItMovement so that we can recognize the change makers. See you next week.